This right here is my 2013 Toyota Tacoma, and I've owned it since brand new. It's got 101,000 miles on it, and outside of it being completely filthy and some faded paint from the Arizona sun, it's rock solid. This is kind of my daily driver, so it's just got nothing but Montana mods. I've got the At The Home Fabrications bull bar for deer protection, a Smitty-built 9,000-pound winch for recovery. It's got a small lift, wheels, tires, and the cab on the back, and that's it. In 2013, when I bought this truck, I guarantee, even if it was an option when I'm not sure it was, I would not have gotten heated seats living in Phoenix, Arizona. I definitely would have gotten leather if they offered it, but they definitely didn't in that year, unfortunately, because I love leather seats. The only option was cloth, and that's still what I'm running today. Up here in Montana, we see temps down into the -30s. With the rain and the snow, this just really isn't cutting it. What I need is heated seats, and what I need is better coverage. Luckily, that's happening today. We're doing heated leather seats, and realistically, you can do this same kit in any vehicle. It's not specific to this rig. As long as you option out for something similar to your rig and you order the correct seat covers, you can do this in your garage. This right here is the kit that I'm going to be installing, and this is the heating elements, and these are the seat covers. Now, this is all off Amazon, kinda. EKR are the seat covers I used, and I got the ones off Amazon originally for the 4th-gen Tacoma, and I just got the standard black on black, and they're incredible seat covers. Like, I love the way they fit. They look amazing. I'm just super impressed with the quality for a quasi-inexpensive seat cover off of Amazon. So I went a little bit different for these covers because, again, this is my forever Tacoma. I'm never gonna get rid of this Tacoma. I definitely wanted to go a little different route with the seat covers on the 2nd-gen Tacoma because I am keeping that truck forever. So I thought it'd be fun to do something a little custom. I went to ekrcovers.com, and that's where I started my custom seat cover order. First thing I'm gonna do is go to the custom covers link here. I'm gonna click on that, where I'm gonna start my journey to get my perfect custom seat covers. Go into my year of vehicle. It is a 2013 Toyota Tacoma. Submodel is basically, it is a sport, but it's base double cab. So you have two options. You can do non-solvent leather or Napa leather. I'm gonna do non-solvent. It's a little bit more durable, not quite as plush. And honestly, I've already been in here to do this, and they have the perfect color, dark gray, that I want, where they don't offer that color in Napa leather. So I'm going non-solvent leather and then customize. So like I said, I'm going with the dark gray option as my base color. I'm gonna go to next. I'm gonna choose my type of kind of design. And I'm definitely gonna kind of keep this a little OEM. I don't wanna go something crazy outside of what Toyota would normally do. So I'm keeping with kind of a more OEM type feel. We'll go to next. I'm definitely more into the lower kind of accent color. Again, trying to keep it somewhat OEM, but still make it more to my taste. So we're gonna go to the light gray insert, which, ooh, that looks really good. We'll hit next. I kind of like the more flat stitching. Let's see, you can kind of go back and forth and just see what kind of pops up. You know what, I'm gonna go with the more raised stitching. I kind of like that a little better. So we'll go next. I do not want any perforation because there's no cooling in it, there's only heat. And then I don't think I'm gonna do any custom embroidery. That's just really not my thing. Cool option, just not my thing. So we'll go to confirm. Okay, so we're at $225 for the front row and $225 for the back row, which is a little bit more expensive than just going with an all black or like an all gray. Doing a little custom, again, a little bit more expense, but for this truck that I know I'm keeping forever, totally worth it. Total is $449.98, and this should get here in a couple weeks. See you guys then. Now, if all goes well, this should be a fairly straightforward install. The heating elements are the only thing you have to wire. Obviously, the seat covers just slide on, secure, and they're a no-brainer. There's gonna be a little bit of wiring, fairly basic. We're gonna have to find, identify, and tap into a ACC fuse into the fuse box, as well as a couple wires and then a power and a ground. Fairly straightforward. And the only real difference between a fully universal and the kit that I ended up getting were the switches here. These are actually the same size, and it's totally just a Toyota generic size that fits into the center console area where my little blanks are, so I can pop the blanks out. Hopefully these slide right in. Other than that, this is completely universal. This doesn't say Tacoma anywhere on it. So let's see how it goes. This right here is the layout of how I'm going to install the heating elements on each part of the seat cover. This is the back portion of it, and I'm going to position it so this would be my lower lumbar to my middle of my back here, and I'm going to take off this adhesive here and attach it to the inside of this seat cover. That way it doesn't move around. Same thing on the bottom part of the seat. This is where my legs bend to go off the edge of the seat. So I'm going to kind of keep it as close to the edge as possible to keep the back of my leg warm, and then all the way here to where my butt sits. And this should be a very efficient way to have these heating elements inside the covers. The very first thing I'm going to do is remove my center console, because all my wires are going to feed up through the center console from both seats where the heating elements are going to go, and then feed up here to where the switches go, and then up under the dash where the wiring is going to go. So the center console has to be removed. This process of removing the center console is going to be different for every vehicle. So just look on YouTube. Lots of information out there about how to remove center consoles in probably every vehicle ever made. Now I have access to pretty much everything going all the way up into here. I might need to remove this panel here, but we're going to go with what we have for now. Next, I'm going to remove the negative battery terminal, especially since we're doing fuse taps and all kinds of electrical work. Last thing you want is to happen is to trip something where you don't want to trip. So we're going to disconnect this to be on the safe side. I went through and basically just removed the entire center console, mostly because for filming it's going to be really difficult with all the nooks and crevices, especially on a rainy day today where I'm working in the pole barn with not a lot of lighting. So next is going to be, I'm going to place the heating elements within the seat covers and put the seat covers on. Note that if you're doing it in the cold temperatures like I am now, have some kind of heating source to keep all of the leather seat covers nice and pliable. Otherwise, they're going to be a real pain to get on these seats. They're not going to mold very well. So I've got mine hooked up to a diesel heater and just the heat pumped into the original bag that it came in. That way to keep everything nice and warm and pliable. Now working with the driver's seat back seat cover first. Obviously, if you look on the inside, there's a little tag here and it says first row left backrest. So left is if you're sitting in the vehicle. And then I want to orient the heating element inside as close to kind of like the lumbar area as possible. So I'm going to put that there, and that looks pretty darn good. It's just kind of going to sit just above this first seam line there, and that should be great. Now I'm going to take the adhesive off and just stick it in there nice and secure. And this is the bottom of the driver's seat, and the tag says it's first row left bottom. And I'm going to do the same thing. I'm just going to remove the adhesive, and I'm going to have it kind of lined up a little bit forward of this line here, because all of this material is going to be tucked under the back. So we kind of only want it about here. So this edge here is flush with this seam, just like so. Getting these seat covers installed is super easy. First thing I'm going to do is remove the back of the headrest here. Open up all the zippers that you see. Take note of where all the kind of the straps are, and then we're just going to fit it over the seat. And again, every seat is going to be a little bit different. This seat has side curtain airbags, so be cautious of that. And the color of these are really close to the factory gray. Really like it. Also, be sure you take note of where your wire is. I'm actually going to push that between the backs and have it kind of come out the underneath side. That way it's super hidden, can't get caught in anything. And I've got that just kind of hanging out there. And now I'm just going to tuck all this stuff underneath. The very last step is there's going to be this hook here. You're just going to reach under the seat, find one of the springs, hook it on there. And obviously right now it's got a big bulge to it, but once your body kind of heats up to it and presses against this, it's going to fit really nice and tight. Next, we're putting the bottom cover on, and again, note where all the straps are. Obviously, this is going to be different for every application, but on mine, it's got these long straps that are going to go under and then go into these buckles here. So I'm just going to take care with the cable here and put this in like so. And the key to getting these in, obviously, is having them be warm and also going through and just kind of finding the tightest way possible to fit these in. There's a bunch of cables and attachment points that just make it that much more easier to get them in nice and tight. So make sure that anything with a hook on it, you're putting all the way under the seat onto the actual cross metal wire kind of structure of the bottom of the seat, and that'll keep everything nice and tight. And now this wire here, I'm gonna put through same as this one here. That way they both match up and it's easy to find, easy to grab, easy to get to. I've got both wires here kind of right next to the console where they're gonna slide under the console in the wiring harness. The seats are mostly on, but not completely on. I'm just kind of leaving them most of the way on. That way they're secure, not gonna come off. But if I have to take them off for whatever reason, it's not gonna be a huge pain. I'm not having every single attachment point completed. So let's get the passenger seat on and continue with this wiring. I'm gonna go ahead and finish putting all the seat covers on just to have that one step completely done. To put the headrest on, just kind of fish the little tabs of where the headrest insert through the cover. That way that they're nice and recessed over the cover. My nice heated up headrest cover. And all you're gonna do is just fish it on. It's really simple. And again, the more of a struggle there is to get this on nice and tight, the better it's gonna look. Now the back seats. Starting here on the 40 side of the Tacoma on the 60-40 split, I've already got the headrest removed, and this is the back seat of this seat here. I've already unbuckled the buckles, and this is just a front cover, doesn't go over the whole thing, although I can still kind of open this up, put it forward, and then push this on, and then feed these straps over and then around. Again, every different vehicle is going to have a separate way of this installation happening. But the theme is, it's just a tight fit. It's all that matters. And remember, tuck, pull, tight, tuck, pull, tight. Everything has to be fitted very well for these to look good in the end. All right, now for the bottom. Now these have straps and then through buckles on this end. And there's all these cutouts for all the tabs that you pull to actually put the seats forward. Very well thought out. Looking good, right? Rinse and repeat for this side. Actually, headrest. Well, our first and only issue of the install so far is going to be there really is no cutout here for this lever that actually releases the headrest so it can flip forward. So, and this one fits very loosely. I don't feel like this is the right cover. I reach out to them, let you know what they say. Now that we have all the leather installed in the Tacoma and it looks amazing, now we're gonna worry about the wiring harness for the seat heaters. Now this again is a universal kit. The only part of this kit that is somewhat related to Tacoma is gonna be these switches right here. These actually are supposedly, in theory, supposed to fit into the bezel, the center console where the factory switches could go. So it's almost a direct replacement, but not quite. But this is the only thing that's specifically related to the Tacoma in itself. Otherwise, this is completely universal. I'm fairly certain that any seat heater kit you get is gonna have a harness that looks a lot like this one. I'm gonna get in detail about this specific harness. Obviously, read your directions and verify that it's gonna be the same with your application. If you get this same harness in the Amazon link that I'm going to provide below in the description, then this will be pretty specific advice for you. So I'm going to start on the wiring harness. I'm going to start on the seat heater end. So there's a black and yellow wire and then a red and black wire. The black and yellow is to the right seat and the red and black is to the left seat. The yellow and black, there's two connectors here. One goes to the lumbar, one goes to the seat, and then same on the red and black on the driver's seat. Working our way down the harness, there's actually quite a long length of this to reach the seats from where they are. And then you have a junction box right here. Now from this junction box, this end goes to those two switches that I was just talking about. And then the other side, kind of in the middle of the junction, is gonna be all of the wiring. And now there's 4 wires and it actually is quite simple. Working our way down, we have a red wire that is terminated at the end and a yellow wire that is terminated at the end. The red wire is basically sending power from a ACC or a switched fuse to the seats to heat them, sorta. The yellow wire is actually to the illumination of the switch itself. Black is ground. That's going to go into a ground bolt in my center console, which I've already identified. This red wire is actually the main power for both seat heaters, and this is going to go to a fuse block actually in the engine bay, and it's got to go through the firewall. Now I'm going to do my best to get as much of this on video, but working under the dash is not easy, so let's see how it goes. Now, putting the wiring harness in the vehicle, you want to start with the seater heating elements themselves because they are on connectors. Everything else is kind of a butt end wire. So if one of these wires is short, I can always extend it. It's gonna be more difficult to extend these connectors. And remember, don't mess this up. There is a left and right seat heater with these, mainly because each of these controllers has a left and right. Last thing you're gonna do is install them backwards and then have the right controller turning this seat heater on, and that would just be a nightmare. So the driver's side is the red and black. We're gonna go ahead and plug those in. One other thing you really don't want to mess up is your seats move back and forth. You want to make sure you leave enough slack in the wiring harness to allow that movement. Otherwise, all you're going to do is rip those connectors out, and that's going to be a really bad day. I got both the passenger and driver's side heating elements all hooked up. I've got them zip tied up under the seat with the wires actually protruding kind of halfway between the bottom seat portion here, which just gives it the most amount of adjustability so that way they don't get snagged and pulled out. Now we're going to kind of place the wiring harness, and I feel like if I just kind of lay it down, I'm gonna tuck it under the carpet a little bit. That way it's out of all of the parking brake and anything else that might be moving, all of the transmission shifting, that's all completely not in the way of that. So I'm gonna kind of tuck it up underneath the carpet, but still up under the center console, and I'm gonna put it all the way up to under where the switches are gonna go, and the ground is going right here. With the ground wire hooked into the grounding bolt in the center console area, now we only have to worry about 3 more wires, 2 red and 1 yellow. And now we're gonna worry about the terminated red and the yellow wire, which are actually gonna go to the same fuse tap because both wires in essence do the same thing. The yellow wire actually controls the backlighting for the switch itself. Now, if you wanna get whiz bang, you can actually put that wire into one of the wires that actually dim with your cluster. If that's not important to you, which it is definitely not important to me, these are small little switches and they're kind of tucked deep into the console. They're not right in my face. So even if it's really dark out, it's not going to ruin my night vision having these as bright as possible. They're just going to be on where I can find them at any given time. And where I'm going to put this fuse tap is I've actually identified a power outlet fuse that's 15 amp that will power this plenty. So what I did was I removed the 15 amp fuse out of the factory fuse box and I put it into this add a fuse, and then I added another 15 amp fuse that goes to the actual wire of the add a fuse, and then I'm going to reinsert this back in where I pulled the factory 15 amp out. The reason I'm working from the fuse box back towards the wire and harness is I have to elongate those wires either way. So I might as well make them more precise and not have a big cluster of them if I'm going from the wiring harness over to the fuse box. So now I'm gonna attach a red wire to this, and I'm gonna run that back to the terminated red and the yellow of the wiring harness and make that connection. And I'm doing everything in heat shrunk crimping connectors and marine grade heat shrink over that, just to make sure it's nice and secure and very insulated. Everything I'm using, I will have in the link in the description below. It's really good stuff. I've been using it for a long time and I completely trust it. That's all connected up. The last wire we have to hook up is going to be the main power that is the fused line. And that I'm actually going to swap, and I'm actually going to put that into the original power outlet, the 15 amp. And then I'm going to swap the other one into, I don't know, probably the tail light, a 10 amp. The yellow line and the red line don't need 15 amps of power, so I'm just going to swap it over to the 10 amp tail light, and then put the or maybe the gauge, 7.5 amp gauge, and then I'm going to put the main power supply into the 15 amp power outlet. I've made all my connections and I just have the 2 fuse taps sitting here in front of the fuse box. Right now I'm going to push them in, turn the truck on, and test everything before I really button everything up and kind of zip tie everything, do all my wire management to keep it nice and clean, and reassembly. So let's test it and see if it turns on. I want a warm butt in this thing. I reconnected the battery, I turned the truck on. It's been on for a couple minutes now. The light came on immediately, and I've been waiting to see how long it takes to kind of get some warmth. I'm starting to feel warmth now, and it's been about 3 minutes. So it does take a little time, just like any other vehicle, to get warm. But yeah, these work. That's awesome. Now I'm gonna go through and systematically zip tie everything, tuck everything away, and reassemble this. Oh, I gotta put these switches in. Let's do that now. It's finally done. I've got heated custom leather seats in my 2013 Tacoma, and they work incredible. I finished reinstalling the center console and all the bits last night and wanted to wait until the daylight to show you guys all its glory, because this came out incredible. The fit and finish of the EKR leather seats are just amazing. I love the way they look. I love the way they feel. They're very durable. I've had them in the 4th Gen Tacoma for almost a year now, and there's not a single scratch. They're just holding up incredible, and the fit is so nice and tight. I wanted a semi-custom look, and I think this absolutely nailed it. As far as the heating elements and that installation wire and harness kit went, it went in super easy. As long as you figure out the wire management and how things go, it was super quick. I love the buttons, how they fit, almost OEM in the dash. I love it. Again, this whole kit is universal, so it can go in any vehicle, and you can get something very similar that maybe the buttons specify to your vehicle, but the whole process is going to be very similar to what we did here. If you follow along, you can do it at home, guaranteed. And this came out way better than I expected. I love the way it looks, and I hope you guys like it too. If you did, be sure to hit that thumbs up, be sure to subscribe, and I will see you guys next time.